21 minutes past 7 on this Monday morning. Welcome back. So September is National Deaf Awareness Month. There is much to celebrate this year because South Africa's Phumelele Mapukata won Mr. Deaf World in July, so well done to him. However, for many South Africans who are deaf, their lives are sometimes completely dependent on others. My next two guests want to change this because they say reporting a crime or getting an education as a deaf person is challenging for those without the necessary resources. Joining us in studio to tell us a bit more about this, we've got the CEO of Safer South Africa, a face you may not have seen for a while, General Riah Phiyega. Good to see you. Welcome.
Morning, Leanne, and morning to the viewers.
And then, of course, we're also joined by Andiswa Gebashe, who is Chief of Deaf Adult. Good to have you. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Excellent. Let's correct that.
Yes, let's recorrect.
That didn't look right. Chief of Deaf Adult.
Oh my God, yeah.
What is that actually?
It is a CODA, C-O-D-A, Child of a Deaf Adult.
Thank you.
Meaning my parents.
A Chief of a Deaf Adult.
Yes, listen, it's an honor.
We have promoted you to a chief. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure. At least we can laugh about it, which is something that a lot of people can't laugh about. And I want to start off with, this is an interesting title. I'm going to come to you now, General, but I mean, Child of a Deaf Adult.
Yes.
Does it stand for your life? Did you grow up?
I had no choice.
Yeah?
I was born into it.
There you go.
It's a pity that my parents can't access this interview. So those are one of the issues we're trying to address. I'm a coder. My parents are deaf. My home language is sign language. I grew up signing all my life.
Yeah.
So meaning the only means of communication or of my parents accessing anything is through a sign language interpreter.
Yeah.
And I would like to apologize for the deaf people who can't even access this, even on their month, which is we celebrate Deaf Awareness Month internationally. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, your entire life, both your parents were deaf?
Just my father.
So just your father.
Yes.
Your mom was fully hearing.
Yes.
Okay. But I mean, that's still as a child, was it difficult for you, or was that just? It was normal because you were born into it. It was normal. It was your language you spoke at home.
Yes. Because I'm born bicultural and bilingual by birth, because I learned to sign first before I spoke, and everybody signs at home.
Yeah.
So South African Sign Language is my home language, and the hearing or the spoken language became my second language, of which I learned to speak later on, because the first thing I signed, because my father signed to me.
Amazing. Isn't that an amazing story?
It is an amazing story.
Yeah.
And where we are sitting as the Safer South Africa Foundation, we joined or we partnered with the NIMA Foundation, which is the foundation that is undertaking the run that will be taking place on the 28th of September in celebration of this International Deaf Month. And where we're coming from as Safer South Africa Foundation, we came to appreciate the fact that there is a much deeper need for cohesion between the hearing and the deaf community.
Yeah.
And we also realize that in terms of the deaf and that community reporting crimes and being closer to the criminal justice system, there's a huge gap. So we are trying to create and build awareness around the need of the community accessing issues related to crime prevention, access to the safety and security services. Because, when we were meeting with the women just 2 or 3 weeks ago at VETS, they were saying, when you are raped, how do you go to a police station to report a matter such as that? So Safer South Africa Foundation, because our issues around prevention and promotion of our awareness around services relating to crimes, safety, security, we are partnering because we believe it is important for this community also to have access to those services.
Why are you passionate about particularly deaf South Africans? Does it have a personal link to you?
There is no personal link.
But it's just something that you feel passionate about.
You know, we work with Royalty Communications, and we joined when they were doing the second round of the match. This is the third one.
Yeah.
And when they presented the matter to us, we actually felt that you know, we're reaching out to many learners. We haven't been to schools of deaf children, so we will be reaching out to those, offering the same program that we're offering in Safer South Africa Foundation Communities Justice Program, where we create awareness for learners around issues of crime, prevention, safety and security, and to empower them to make better choices in their lives at an early life. You know, there is, with crime, there's the prevention side, and there is the proactive side, where, you know, children are already being processed for crime. So we're playing in the prevention space, where we go to schools together with the various safety and security cluster officials. You know, police would come and teach, traffic officers, the NPA, the magistrates, the Correctional Service, Human Rights Commission. We are recently joined by the Banking Association of South Africa to bring in, you know, issues around financial inclusion. So we do those type of things. So we partnered with Royalty Communication and NIMA Foundation, because we would like that to include even learners from the deaf community. So this work became very important for us to support.
Yeah, indeed. And Andiswa, let's bring you into this, because, you know, one of the biggest issues, I imagine, is educating people about deaf people, their struggles. I mean, what we're hearing here is perhaps some things that we don't even think about. Reporting a crime. If something has happened to you and you are deaf, how do you go about doing something like that? And that's very, very difficult. So there are a lot of awareness events that are taking place. Perhaps you can talk us through some of those.
There are a lot of those. The founder and the co-founder of NEMA, Judith and Fatima, have been doing awarenesses. They're going to corporate teaching sign language, and even on the day there will be alphabet and some signs, so that as the hearing community we get to learn sign language. Even a simple thing as a hello, how are you? So that one feels I am part of South Africa. And just one sign at a day, and we will eventually, the almost 1 million deaf people in this country have accessibility when they go to hospitals. People are diagnosed with wrong medication, and some unfortunately lose their lives. In police station, in school, the education system itself, everywhere. South Africa is not yet, there have been some strides here and there, but we're not fully accessible to the deaf community. In the taxi, in the bus, how do you say a bus stop when you're jumping off if you're deaf? So that means you need to sit in the front seat and tell the driver, and sometimes the driver might not be that patient to listen to you that you're jumping off. In clinics, when women are pregnant, all those things, when you are diagnosed with a chronic disease, who tells you how many times do you take your medication? You know, that's danger for overdose. Because what NEMA is trying to do is going to hospitals where, when nurses are being trained to get their qualification, they can include sign language as a subject with every profession, especially the public sector.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, I think you guys are doing amazing work when it comes to this. Just finally, very quickly, because we're already running to headline times, but generally, in terms of Safer South Africa, what is it that you do as an organization?
I've just touched on that. I think let me not deprive your listeners the actual details.
Yeah, please.
The walk and the run that is going to take place on the 28th of September is open to everyone. They can register at entrytime.com, because, as we say, it's to build that cohesion between the hearing and the non-hearing communities. And it is also to create more awareness for government, for business, for communities, for the plight of the deaf and to support the deaf. So we invite as many people as possible to join us for the third silent walk. It is very silent.
Well, thank you very much. We've got those details. It's all up on the screen. Go out there, silent walk and run. Thanks to both of you for coming in and visiting us here on the beginning of National Deaf Awareness Month, that being September. The CEO of Safer South Africa, General Riah Phiyega, and Andiswa Gebashe, who is a child of a deaf adult, not a chief of a deaf adult, and they're embarking on a campaign to educate South Africans on deaf awareness.